Basically, we represent the interest of the AQUA members, of course, in the field of communication. So communication with meters, communication with gateways, and also communication with additional sensors you could connect to this ecosystem. So the meter and its boundary to the metrology. So in our working group, we kind of exclude the metrologies. The focus is really on the communication part, but then also, of course, the system solution, where we have the gateway, including security. So we touch also on this aspect, and the connection to the sensors. And the working group by itself mostly exchanges information. We promote standards, open standards, not as in the past where every company had its own communication protocol. We try to work in a harmonized way, and we try to make sure that the devices are, by the end of the day, interoperable. So we monitor very closely the European standards, sometimes also the international standards like ISO. And we deal with the standardization bodies, and some examples would be SENS and like OMS, WISE, MIOTI, LoRa. So that's also all keywords. If you're familiar with standardization, you get across these words. And in our case, in the communication working group, we are particularly interested in the reporting of something which is called DC294. So that's communication on the European level, but then also the implementation of that, which is called the OMS, so the Open Metering Standard. They have a couple of working groups and a couple of task forces like security, cellular, how to connect to third-party interfaces. And we report on those. Most recently, I think there was a very heavy workload on the radio equipment directive. So that's a regulation from the EU, which aims to enhance the cybersecurity of radio equipment. And it includes 3 standards. It's about 500 pages in total. And for a long time, it was not so sure how much our team would be, the smart metering team and all the companies associated to that would be impacted by the standard. So this standard touches on many, many topics. It goes from product architecture to production to customer. And we really have to do a deep dive on this topic. And by the end of the day, what we did is we came up with a white paper, a write-up on how we as AQUA view and read this standard. So when it comes to firmware updates in the field, secure storage, login, deletion mechanism, key handling, and stuff like that. I would say we work mostly on 2 topics. So the OMS working groups, they're still trying to improve the security level of the protocols. So the question, for example, is do we need to increase bit levels 128 versus 256? This has quite a bit of implication when it comes to battery-operated devices. So then the question is, okay, how can you really implement that? So they would come up with a recipe for those using OMS, and they would show us, okay, that's the best path forward, such that we have secure devices in the field for the next couple of 10 or 15 years. But then there's also something else which is very much of importance, and this is the Cyber Resilience Act. So that's now end-to-end security. So this would include the meter, but it would also include the software you need to run this meter. So really from the device to the back end, end-to-end security. And this goes in place by the end of 2027. The key topics here are vulnerability, security updates in the field, access to the product, data integrity, and stuff like that. So the first part, meaning vulnerability, is really if you see a problem with security in the field, there will be, what the idea is that there is a register where the companies would have to tell, for example, customers, Houston, we have a problem, and but also tell the customers what the plan is to fix the problem. So there will be, it's also a lot about how to transparently handle security issues in the field.